Hello, Keith Prather here with the NCM Marine Economic Outlook. Let me share my slide here. Okay, so looking forward, it's kind of interesting because this is another one, just like what we had with the RV index story, where the index itself is coming in a lot hotter than what you're probably feeling in the marketplace. And let me explain this for a second. Remember that this is a leading index that it looks forward over the next 6 months, and it gives us an idea of what the demand environment will be like for this particular sector, which is the marine sector. And so we got this big surge, and we also do get data that adjusts month over month. So this index uses multiple federal inputs into it, and it's not unlike us to get a major adjustment in the data month over month. So I think, some of this growth that came from last month to this month could cool a little bit. But we also may have some folks out there that between May and June went out and took advantage of maybe what they thought was fear of some higher tariff rates impacting the price of boats or the price of equipment to add to those boats. And so you have a little bit of that, I think, as maybe a little bit of pulled forward spending as well. But we're getting an index of 113.7, which is 7% higher month over month between April and May. May's the latest data that we have available. Some of the federal data is delayed a month, and then it's 13% higher year over year. And still pretty high overall. If this demand environment continues the way we think it will, if this doesn't get adjusted back downward over the next couple months, then you're looking at a demand environment that looks very strong historically. And obviously, that'd be great news for everybody. There we go. Got to move on. Okay, so producer price index then for boat building. Typically, we watch this because this helps us understand the balance between supply and demand. Is the industry able to meet demand with current inventories or with the manufacturing process, or is demand so high like we saw back in 2022 and 2023, and input prices are higher, and so we see a surge in the producer price index. And right now, you're seeing it improve. So we are seeing a lift overall. Some of it, again, is going to be higher input prices. We know that. We know that tariffs will eventually play a role in the cost of actually building out and building a boat, and then obviously the equipment that goes along with it. But but this is interesting because it's still historically fairly modest. We'd say it that way. It's a modest reading, but trending wise, it looks like we are seeing a bit of a lift in the market. Now, there's some interesting things. We still look at the health of the consumer. I've done this across every single one of our segments this month for NCM, and we still see a pretty healthy consumer out there. Obviously, sentiment is important, and we still see consumer sentiment a little bit weaker. But right now, consumers are generally kind of spending their way out of their doldrums. So they've decided that, hey, if I'm going to be depressed, I might as well go out and buy something fun. And hopefully, in this case, it's going to be something like a boat, but or maybe a personal watercraft or something else. But you've got this curve that shows some pretty good growth overall moving forward. And then if you look at it on a historical basis, we're still well above the historical trend line. So it's beating historical growth rates, and it looks like it's going to be approaching, new all-time highs when we get into 2026. So that is a great signal. That means that as you start to get foot traffic in, showrooms, that you're basically going to be able to work with a consumer that feels pretty good about at least the financial aspects of their world. The job growth rate is still pretty good. We created about 144,000 jobs last month. Job openings are still high. We still see almost 8 million job openings. That's up from normal, which is about 6. The wage growth rate is still exceeding inflation, and so that's positive. And so there's a lot of things really kind of working favorably for the industry and maybe what would come ahead in the next couple months. But the one big thing that I see, and I have talked about this a lot, on July 4th, we got the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, right? I have to throw the A on there on the official bill. But the OBBBA was passed, and there's a lot of benefits both on the corporate side of things and then also on the consumer side. And a lot of tax benefits that we got in the first bill that was passed in the 2017-2018 period got extended with this new bill and made permanent. But at the same time, there were brand new tax incentives that are going to create brand new benefits for households. So we think on average, the average net household may see a tangible benefit of about $7,600. Some will see a lot more, some will see a lot less. But this benefit is spread out over a lot of different types of households. So we've got, high income, middle income, and low income households, and the benefits are across all of those. And we see it across younger generations all the way up to retirees and beyond. And so the benefit's going to be spread out. So depending on your product and what area of the marine sector you serve, you're going to see some households get benefits in those sectors. We think out of 102 million eligible households, that creates about $781 billion in spending. And as I've said across a lot of the videos this month that we're doing for NCM, that it's interesting because a lot of households won't physically see that benefit until early in 2026. You file your taxes, you go, oh, okay, oh my gosh, they're cheaper than I expected. Wow, I made out well. Or you get a bigger refund. That's when a lot of households will feel it. But those who are savvy enough and they go out and they read and they're paying attention to headlines, as soon as the media will allow this story to be told, you're going to start seeing these net average benefits come out. And a lot of households will take that idea in their head and they'll say, hey, I'm going to save $8,000 a year on taxes. Wow. If I spread that out over 12 months, that's a lot of monthly payments for something like a new boat or a personal watercraft or whatever it may be. And so we think that this really starts to help out the big ticket items, especially in households that were already doing okay. They've got money in savings, and this is just free money. And so they'll use that to go buy big ticket purchases. So we've got to learn more about this. We have to learn more about the bill. A lot of assessments are still being done. I mean, the bill's only 10 days old at the time we were recording. And so we got to learn more to look and see what this real benefit looks like. But based on early assessments, this is kind of what we're looking at. So then overall for the economy, second half of the year, we've got to go with a conservative forecast because we have to base it on what we know. And based on what we know, the economy looks like it's going to be fairly flat between now and the end of the year. We're going to have kind of a lackluster Q3 and Q4. A lot of businesses are still sitting on their hands, not really moving a lot, just a lot of trade uncertainty out there, a lot of tariff uncertainty. And so a lot of consumers are going to stay a little conservative. But we do think that all these things that we talked about with the tax bill, maybe getting trade agreements behind us, some of the benefits that come to corporations out of the tax bill that actually create new jobs and create higher paying jobs. Yeah, I think you're going to see some benefits, and I think we're going to see more foot traffic in the marine sector. And again, you go all the way back to the very first slide. And when we look at the Marine Index was giving us a little bit of that optimism. It was probably showing a little bit of that looking out over the next 6 months. So again, I know that the data kind of flies in the face of what some of you are feeling at a dealership level. I know you're feeling some of that lack of consumer traffic and you're, feeling it kind of sluggish. But I think there are good things to come. And hopefully I'm not overly optimistic. Again, we do these every single month. And as we go through them and as we process brand new data, we'll try to update you on what we're learning. We still don't see the Federal Reserve trimming interest rates anytime soon. The next quarter point cut may come in September, but it may be delayed as well, just depending on what the data is giving us. And there's a lot of volatility around the Fed right now, as you know, if you're watching the headlines. So we'll see what happens overall. But in general, I think things look pretty good. So I hope you have a safe rest of your July, and we'll see you next month. Okay, take care.